Imagine living in France during World War II. The country is under the control of Nazi Germany. People are disappearing, arrests happen every day, and fear spreads everywhere. In the middle of this chaos, rumors begin to spread about a doctor who can help people escape the country. A man who promises safety and a new life far away from the war. But what those desperate people didn't know is that stepping into his house would be the last decision they would ever make. This is the true story of Marcel Petiot, the doctor who turned hope into death. Marcel Petiot was born in France in 1897. Even as a child, people noticed that something about him was unusual. His teachers described him as intelligent but unstable. He often got into trouble and behaved in strange ways. Yet, despite this troubled behavior, he managed to study medicine and eventually became a doctor. To the public, he appeared respectable, a trained physician, a man people trusted with their health and lives. But behind that respectable image was someone capable of unimaginable crimes. Everything changed in 1940 when German forces invaded France during World War II. The country quickly fell under Nazi occupation, and life became extremely dangerous, especially for Jewish families, resistance members, and anyone targeted by the Nazis. Thousands of people were desperate to escape the country before they were arrested or deported. In that climate of fear and desperation, Marcel Petiot saw an opportunity. He began spreading word that he was part of a secret escape network. According to him, he had connections that could secretly smuggle people out of France and send them safely to South America. For those who believed him, this sounded like a miracle. Families sold their belongings, gathered their money and valuables, and trusted Petiot to guide them to safety. But the escape plan was a lie from the very beginning. Petiot told his victims that the journey required strict secrecy and special preparation. Before leaving France, he said they needed a medical injection to protect them from diseases during their long journey. As a doctor, his explanation sounded convincing. The victims trusted him completely. But the syringe he used did not contain medicine. It contained poison. Once the injection was given, the victims would quickly die. Afterward, Petiot would steal their money, jewelry, and anything valuable they had brought with them. Everything meant for their escape became his profit. These murders often took place inside his house in Paris, where he carefully tried to hide the evidence. Some bodies were burned in a furnace, others were destroyed with chemicals, and some remains were hidden around the property. For a long time, no one realized what was happening. Families simply believed that their loved ones had successfully escaped France and started new lives somewhere far away. But the truth eventually began to reveal itself. In 1944, neighbors started noticing thick smoke coming from Petiot's house. Along with the smoke came a terrible smell that filled the area. Concerned residents contacted the police and firefighters. When authorities entered the building, they discovered something horrifying. Inside the house, they found human remains, bones, body parts, and evidence that terrible crimes had been committed there. The discovery shocked the entire country and quickly became one of the most disturbing criminal investigations in France during the war. Shortly after the discovery, Petiot disappeared. For several months, he managed to avoid capture. At one point, he even tried to defend himself by claiming that the bodies belonged to enemies of the French resistance. But investigators continued gathering evidence, and eventually he was arrested and brought to trial. The trial attracted huge public attention across France. Prosecutors revealed how Petiot had lured desperate people with promises of escape and then murdered them to steal their possessions. Authorities confirmed that at least 23 people had been killed by him, although many investigators believed the true number might be much higher. During the trial, Petiot showed very little remorse. Instead, he behaved arrogantly and often tried to justify his actions. But the evidence against him was overwhelming. In 1946, the court found Marcel Petiot guilty of multiple murders and sentenced him to death. On May 25, 1946, he was executed by guillotine, bringing an end to the life of one of France's most infamous criminals. The story of Marcel Petiot remains one of the darkest crimes connected to World War II. In a time when people were already living in fear and desperation, a man they trusted, a doctor, used their hope for survival as a weapon against them. His crimes serve as a chilling reminder that sometimes the most dangerous people are the ones who appear the most trustworthy. Thank you for watching.